Welcome, Transpac race fans. This is your July 15th race analysis report. I'm Dobbs Davis with Seahorse Magazine, and today we have some interesting aspects of this race to report. All the boats moving nicely down the track. As you can see, some convergence going on, where before we had three distinct groups. Now we have the lead group here who started on Monday, and the middle group here now merging with the middle group here having started on Thursday, now merging a bit with the faster boats starting on Saturday. But before I go into the detailed analysis, I wanted to make a note based on a comment that came in by email that my continual reference to this red line is as the rum line, and implying that this is the shortest way to Hawaii, of course, on a Mercator projection, which is what we have here in Yellow Brick, is not exactly true. On the curved surface of the Earth, a spherical surface, the shortest distance will be a curved line. I don't know exactly what the shape of it is and how far it deviates north of rum line, but basically it's going to be an arced line that is shaped roughly like I'm trying to draw with my cursor here, but it's an arc just above with a straight line shown in the Mercator projection, and that in fact is the shortest path to Hawaii. The rum line's a nice convenient way to show that, but in fact it's not exactly the shortest. I can do some calculations and figure out what the difference is, but over 2,225 miles it can be significant. However, this is certainly a nice useful reference for talking about strategy and how the boats will lay out the course. Now, the other thing I wanted to note for today is a little bit on the trackers themselves. Yellow Brick is generally a quite reliable system. That's why it's being used for most of the major ocean races in the world nowadays. But every now and then there's some glitches and failures. Back over here, if we look at this gray boat, Meanie, this is a TP52 that had started on Saturday, and we had them tracking nicely yesterday, but as you can see, their position well behind here we don't think is real, because they're shown at this position as going 11 knots, but this we think the tracker is turned off, or it's possible the tracker is being covered by something inadvertently, so it's not getting its signal. Anyway, don't be concerned. Meanie, we think, is still out there with the group, just not quite here shown on the Yellow Brick tracker. That's why, in fact, Transpac has a backup system of 0600 daily position reports that the team send in by email, and those are reflected on the daily standings report that gets published on the website. Now, we don't have a copy of that yet. The organizers and scoring people are still working at that at this time, but that will be up on the website shortly. So let's have a look now and parse through who's doing what and how they're doing on the course, starting with our lead boats. And when we say leading, of course, that's not in elapsed time, but the Division 7 and 8 boats who started on Monday got a great start. If you remember, their tracks coming off the coast were nice and straight. Now you're seeing them zigzag a bit, and of course that's because they're traveling downwind. They're jibing on the shifts. They're getting little rain squalls. They're getting other ways to influence their final approach here into Hawaii. In fact, not final approach. They're just about well, they're beyond midway down the track. As you can see, they're sort of entering the last half of the race at this stage. One boat well behind here, Aquarius, was having some problems a couple of days ago. They were having some issues on board that we heard about, but we're glad to see that they're off and going now. They're not going very fast, but at least they're heading to Hawaii. We had some concerns about what was going on board, but they are proceeding, so that's good to see. Other boats that we've been tracking, of course, is the lead boat, Manatea. You can see them making jibes downwind, jibing on the shifts, and still leading this pack. This is a 65-foot boat, so they're much faster than everybody else out here. The other boats we were looking at closely were over here, 10 quarter, Japanese entry. They were really neck and neck with Keo most of the race, and if you look somewhere back here, in fact we can scroll back in time. We go back here a few position reports ago. You can see that 10 quarter elected to go south, and Keough stuck to their guns and didn't jibe with them, so the match race broke off at that point. It'll be very interesting to see when they come back together how they do. What I'm keying here is in the lower right corner of your screen is a toggle that takes you through each of the position reports, so you can get a nice idea of their track. Anyway, so Keough right now is leading this division, Division 7, uncorrected time. But they're getting pretty far north, up toward Great Circle perhaps, maybe a little bit north of Great Circle. So they'll be looking for opportunities to dig back toward and not let any leverage come in for 10 Quarter, who seems to be their arch rival in that class. And as we say, Manatee just jibing the shifts, trying to get to Hawaii as fast as they can. But the real question will be here for Divisions 4, 5, and 6. We'll turn them on now. Turn off these guys and go back over to see their positions. Now, again, very nice straight tracks as they were reaching. Now they're getting into more broad-reaching conditions, but still going quite fast. Bretwalda 3 last night was reported as leading on corrected time in Division 4. They're still in that position now. This is a Rogers 46 with a team based from Bayview Yacht Club in Michigan, and a Midwest team, but they're showing the others how it's done. They're leading out nicely and stretching. Varuna 46 is a sister ship to Bretwalda, so they're just a few miles separated, and no doubt hungry to chase down their sister ship. And these two are certainly going to be the ones to watch here in this Class 4. Down here, Criminal Mischief, also in Division 4. This is a very different kind of boat, wider, lighter than the Rogers 46. So they're in a different sail plan, different sailing mode. They're really sagging quite far to the south. No doubt they'll be looking for opportunities to converge and waiting for the right shift or the right conditions to do it, but they're still moving fast, 11.5 knots. The Rogers 46 moving about the same, even a little faster, maybe by virtue of not having sailed as long a distance. It's showing them ahead now on corrected time. But this could all change as they get into more running conditions and get a little bit of leverage and wind shifts, and no doubt we'll start seeing over the next 24 hours these boats starting to lift up, head more to the north, and then maybe even possibly jibing if they get lifted anymore. So that's Divisions 4, 5, and 6. We'll look now at our Saturday starters in Divisions 1, 2, and 3. And let's not forget Division 0, the multi-hulls. So these teams, very, very fast indeed. Not so much off the starting line. They had to tack to get around Catalina. But over the first night and also over last night, some quite high speeds on these boats. They've had 20, 25 knots of wind, very nice conditions, and a little bit of interesting wiggling going on in their tracks. So here way out in front, going only 18 knots. They've actually been going 22 knots for quite a long time. Lending Club. I got a little bit concerned about them early this morning because right about here in their position track, maybe we can get to that in one of their progs there. They were, no, that's not it. But at one point this morning, they looked like they were going quite slow, and we didn't know what was going on. Possibly a sail change or some other mishap on board. But they're back on track to be going fast. The real question for them, and we'll be able to answer this here in the next 24 hours, is whether they can have a shot at breaking a multi-hull record of 4 days. If the wind holds, it looks okay for now. There's a possibility. It'll just really depend on what happens in the next 24 hours. Their rivals in the multi-hull class, Fado, have actually finally started to really put the steam on. They're right now it's only showing them at 16 knots, but actually they've been averaging 17 and 18 knots and over 400 miles in the last 24 hours. It's quite a nice feat for this boat, Fado. These two as well, Maserati and Ragamuffin, over 400-mile days. They've been going quite fast, 17 knots, and also here Maserati shown at 16, but you can see by their very, very close positions that these two are leading the pack for the boats in Division 1. These boats, Canting Kiel boats, are not eligible for barn door trophies, but they are eligible for the Merlin Trophy, the first to finish monohull. So these two really duking it out. The Volvo 70 Maserati has really come into their own in the last 24 hours or so. They've maybe even 36 hours. They've gotten into more hard-reaching conditions suited to this boat. They've leapt ahead. You can see this interesting track here on Maserati. Very much a looping track up. We don't know if that's tactical, perhaps, to converge with Maserati, or maybe that's just due to a wind shift and some change in their sail plan where they need to sail these angles. But these two now neck and neck in contention for Merlin Trophy. Other boats to watch. Varuna 51. Very interesting now that this boat, not designed for Transpac, but more of an all-around offshore race boat designed by Jason Kerr. These guys are now leading on corrected time. Very interesting, in fact, their first Transec, their first big race in the Pacific. But they're learning the boat and doing well now, 13.2 knots. You can see by their track, they're sticking close and almost parallel up here to Rumline. Bad Pack, the STP 65, you're seeing them dive quite a bit here. Likely right here at this course change that they did a sail change, went to a Spinnaker perhaps, or a Code Zero or some other sail that is more suited for broader angles. So they're diving off, going fast, 15.7 knots of boat speed. Invisible Hand down here has been trucking along at quite a nice pace. In this sked, or in this report, they're only showing 14.3, but having them there relative to Bad Pack is certainly a good position, setting themselves up for perhaps a tactical move later on when the wind shifts. Now, in Division 3, amongst the sleds, Pyewacket. Pyewacket doing very well now. They were just had a little bit of a lead ahead of this Division 3 pack. In fact, we'll turn off the others just to show that. But Pyewacket, as you can see, legging out, good mid-road position here to cover tactically. Way down here, and these guys committed to this early. Maverick has consistently stayed on this low road. You can see by this course change here, likely they went to a Spinnaker, bigger jib, some other sail that is better at this broader angle. But the division leader in corrected time has now shifted from Grand Illusion over to Retro. Retro plugging along, quite certainly an experienced team on that boat from Long Beach. They've done many, many Transpacs. They know the game. So they're behind, that's a Santa Cruz 70, behind Andrews 68 Alchemy. So they're on very similar tracks. And now Grand Illusion up here with Pyewacket, they're sticking to a fairly conservative strategy here of being close to the ley line. They know that they have won in the past in corrected time, so no doubt they're trying to minimize the distance and keeping their options open. So that's our synopsis for where our teams are today. Let's look a little bit at the weather. Here is that European model and the synopsis shown. Yesterday I showed this in the wind arrows and the vectors, wind vectors that circulate around the big high pressure. Here I'm just going to show you this in isobaric space. So the 1020 line here, that's always a traditional line. Here's Hawaii over here. Here is Los Angeles here. So our Transpac track is roughly going this way. So this was about 9 hours into a midnight GMT. So this is just about where we are now. You can see good isobaric compression, nice strong breeze for these boats coming off the coast. But the real big question is what's going to happen in about 24 hours. If we look at this, and you can see that the isobars are now spreading out a bit as this high moves a little bit further west. This is something we predicted. and even out 36 hours. That this was the big danger zone here, is what happens when these isobars spread out, and it might get dangerously light for these boats in the last start if they get caught up in this bulge here in the isobars. If we go over to showing this rather than in mean surface level pressure, but in wind speed, the wind speed hole here that we discussed yesterday is not quite as bad in this prog as we saw. So and not only that, but the boats are going pretty fast. So about 24 hours from now, the boats could just be a little bit ahead of this. They might miss out on this hole, and the hole isn't as deep as we thought. Predicted wind speeds at around 12 knots, 10 to 12 knots. That's not as bad as the 8 to 9 knots that we were seeing yesterday, where this really looked bad. So we're hoping that the boats are going fast enough they can avoid this, that maybe this will compress a bit and keep the pace fast. Boats that are up in here, of course, are in these darker green zones of 15 to 18 knots. So it's looking like a good race for the leading boats in the lead boats of the starters on Saturday. The boats starting on Thursday will enjoy great breeze, but overall in the results they're still going to suffer because of their early light air in their start on Thursday. And then the boats starting on Monday look like they're going to be quite strong to carry on with their breeze on final approach into Hawaii. So that's it. That's it for my report for today, 15 July. We'll look forward to having you back tomorrow and continue following all the action here on the Transpac website and the Yellow Big Tracker. So for today, I'm Dobbs Davis for Seahorse Magazine.